Hi everyone, thanks for checking out this video. So in the last video, we finally did the actual GWAS analysis, and we came up with this list of SNPs where the genotype had a significant association with the phenotype, meaning whether someone was a zombie or not after being bit by a zombie. So yeah, this is our list of SNPs that at this point in the analysis, we think that maybe there's some association with the alleles that people have at these SNPs and how they respond to the zombie bite. Whether they become a zombie or not after getting bit might depend on what alleles they have at these SNP positions, possibly. So yeah, in this video, I'm just gonna show you guys like a quick lesson on a cool resource that you can use to investigate like particular SNPs that you might be interested in. So yeah, the tool is called the UCSC Genome Browser, and if you guys are following along in the notebook, you can just go ahead and click this link. But if you're not using the notebook, then you can find it by going to genome.ucsc.edu, and then I think if you go to that link, you might have to then go to Genome Browser over here. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Yeah, like it looks like a lot of information at first, but yeah, maybe it'll make more sense when I show you guys how to search for one of these. So we can go ahead and grab the coordinates of our first like SNP of interest here. So yeah, this again, like the IDs here are the actual chromosome number. So this one is chromosome 1, and then the coordinate position. So yeah, we can just go ahead and grab that, and then copy and paste it into this like search bar here. So when we search for it, it'll actually show us like this thing it's showing us here is like this whole field on the screen is like a map of the DNA basically. And at this point here, it's zoomed into this one letter, but we can actually zoom out a bit and see like more letters. So now it's showing the one letter that we searched for, and then the two letters also next to it. And we can also check and confirm that that the letter, like the reference letter at that position, actually does match. So the reference letter in our SNP info is a G, and we do in fact see a G here for the reference letter. By the way, if you guys are seeing a letter that is a mismatch, although you shouldn't be if you're using my mock data set, because I think it should match for that. But if you're doing a real life project and you saw that the letter here didn't match what was in your data set, then one thing to check would be that you're using the right like version of the genome. So there are a couple different like versions of the like standard reference human genome. This is the most recent one. You guys might hear these called like builds too, like genome builds or genome like versions or genome assemblies. But yeah, they're basically just like different versions of the like human standard reference genome. So yeah, this is the most recent one, but some people still use one of the like older references. So if you do end up seeing like a mismatch between this this like web application and your data set, it could be that your data set is using one of the older genome versions. But yeah, you might have to do some like conversion between them, basically. But yeah, so that's what happens when we like search for a SNP of interest. We can kind of find it here. We can zoom out even a little more if we want to. And then yeah, so at this point, this is showing us the position we searched for, this G here, and then all of the other positions around it in the DNA, basically. And then all of these things here tell us information like about this position in the DNA, basically. So if we hover over this part here, we can see, for example, that this region of DNA that the SNP is a part of is an intron for a particular transcript where the transcript doesn't appear to have like an actual gene name, but it does have like a transcript like identifier here. So yeah, we can kind of see that by just like hovering over it. In fact, we can see there's actually two different like transcripts it's associated with. So for this one here, it's an intron, and then for this other one here, it's an exon actually. So yeah, neither one of these have an actual gene name, but we can kind of see that for two known transcripts, it's an intron for one of them and an exon for another. Yeah, and then there's some more information down here. Like, to be honest, I don't even know what like all this stuff is. Although some of these things, yeah, like some of these things I think are showing like other like regulatory elements in the DNA sequence. I think that's what some of these things are, like yeah, like cis regulatory elements, basically things that like regulate gene expression. So I mean, yeah, maybe we can try searching for another one too, just to keep showing you guys some different examples. Yeah, so for this one, it actually is associated with a gene where it gives us the gene name. It's this one, DTNB, and it's an intron for this DTNB gene. And yeah, like I just picked these SNPs randomly. But if this was like a real research project that you guys were doing in real life, this might be a good time to search the literature for this gene a bit and see if this gene is known to have any association with the phenotype you're looking for. Of course, I just made up a fictional example with like the zombie apocalypse thing. But if you were doing a GWAS for like a real disease, you might at this point want to like search the literature a little bit for this gene and see if there's any papers talking about if it's related to the disease you're researching. Something else I'll show you guys is that if you remember before, several videos ago at this point, I was talking about the scale of different components of the DNA, and we talked about like exons and introns, where if you guys remember, exons are the part that actually like ultimately code for the amino acids that make up the protein, and introns get spliced out before the translation step. And I was telling you guys that the exons, the parts that actually code for the ultimate sequence of amino acids in the protein, the exons are only like a very tiny fraction of the overall DNA sequence, basically. So I'm just going to actually zoom out a bit to give you guys an idea of that, just to show you like the scale of this, basically. So this is an intron here. Yeah, this is an intron, and I'm going to just keep zooming out until we can start to see some other things. So yeah, zooming out, still an intron, still looking at the intron. Yeah, maybe I'll zoom out a little bit quicker. Oh yeah, okay. So now we can see this little block over here in between these two much larger sequences of introns on either side. This little solid block is an exon. So yeah, this is like the scale of how like long the exon sequences are compared to the introns. See how much like larger the intron sequences are? So yeah, this little block over here is the exon. And then if we zoom out even further, because even yeah, see, now we can see more. It's even hard to actually even highlight them because they're so thin. But if you guys see these like tiny little blocks, yeah, it's hard to even get the cursor like exactly, yeah, over them. But see here, I don't want to even move the mouse because it's so hard to, because they're so small, it's so hard to get like the cursor right on top of them. But if you guys see this block of text above the cursor, yeah, this tiny block is one of the exons, and all these little like solid like bumps here are the exons, and everything else is the introns, basically. And even still, even the scale I'm showing you guys right now is still just within one of the genes, this gene DTNB. But if we zoom out even further, zoom out even further, we can eventually even see that like there's really a lot of space even like between genes. Although I guess like some of these spaces are still, they have like some gene associated with it. But yeah, here's our DTNB, and you can kind of see the little exons there again. But yeah, there's also like yeah, just like large amounts of just like space between everything, basically. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, this whole exercise of like zooming out was just to like really emphasize like how little of the total DNA sequence is the exons that are actually like ultimately coding for the amino acid sequence in the protein. Okay, maybe I'll show you guys like one more example and then let you just continue on your own after that. Yeah, do one more example for you guys. Yeah, so this is another one where it is another intron, and yeah, it tells us the name of the gene. So yeah, if this was real, you guys might want to Google this gene name and then see if it's like possibly related to the disease or phenotype that you're looking into. We can again zoom out a bit, see where it stands in context with everything else. Sorry guys, I had to cut because it actually just froze up on me. Yeah, I guess yeah, the website froze up on me. Yeah, whatever. It's a cool free like web resource. So I don't want to complain about like, you know, performance or whatever. It still is super cool. But yeah, it did just freeze up just now. Yeah, actually maybe I'll show you guys one more. Just I'm going to just try to find if any of these are an exon, like just to see. Yeah, see if we can find an exon, if any of these. Yeah, again, intron. Let's see, is there any exons here? No, see, this one's not even anything. This one is just not even associated with any known gene or transcript. Just see if there's any exons. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so this one is an exon, and it gives us the exon. It tells us some information about the codon phase, like what position in the codon it is, and then yeah, it gives us the gene name, and yeah, I wonder if it has any more information here. Yeah, some like biochemical information about the I guess the protein that it is coding for. Some information about like what tissues it's expressed in. Looks like the gene is mostly expressed in the testes. Yeah, some information about like the protein and the protein structure. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, and again we can like zoom out and kind of see like the context of it in relation to everything else, I think. Yeah, so pretty cool. This is a good like web application, I think, for exploring any SNPs that come up in your GWAS that you might want to then like first of all figure out if they're associated with any gene, and then try to look into what kind of mechanism, if any, might they be related to that could contribute to the phenotype that you're studying, basically. But yeah, just like a nice web application for that, I think. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys for this video. So thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.